Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to my latest and greatest installment in quitting weed, quitting marijuana, quitting the green bitch. We've done 50 days. We've done 50 days. 50 days of sobriety from drugs. And as of today, I am coming up on 42 days of sobriety from alcohol. So you could call it 6 weeks, clean, mean and serene. And getting lean. That's one thing I don't miss, is the munchies. Yeah, they can just completely take hold and derail any plans of dieting you may have. You can be completely and utterly focused, committed, accountable to your diet for 23 out of 24 days. But as soon as you take that first puff, the cupboard doors unlock. The fridge is a free-for-all, and I have done that way too many times and let myself down way too many times. So, today I'm here to check in 50 days sober from weed and discuss the one thing I still miss. Because there's one thing I still miss. And prizes, to you guys, for anyone who can guess that, and actually, head down into the comment section below right now and tell me what's the one thing you think I miss, or alternatively, what's the one thing you miss from smoking. Now there's aspects of this that I miss, and there's one aspect of it that I don't. But basically, to cut a long story short, the one thing I do miss still is the effortless sleep. Now we call it sleep. I feel like it's more knocking yourself out for 7, 8, 9, 10 hours. But it is effortless. And I struggle to remember a single night, a single time over the 16, 17, 18 years that I smoked pretty much every day that I couldn't sleep. And when you think about that, that's huge. That's huge. And it was that benefit of smoking weed, far above all others, that actually kept me hooked for a lot longer than I needed to. Because the fact is that you can sleep if you don't smoke weed. It may take a couple of days, it may take more than that, but you can sleep. Although there were times where I convinced myself I couldn't. Or at least I didn't want to. I didn't want to try. I didn't like the thought of getting into bed sober because I convinced myself it would be a massive struggle to get to sleep. And some nights it is. Still. And so that would be the one thing I still miss, because even 50 days off of weed and 6 weeks off of alcohol, there are nights where I toss and turn and I can't get to sleep. I might get into bed at something like 10 and I'm still awake at 12 or 12:30. Now at that point, my body and my circadian rhythm, I think is that what it is? Geez, don't quote me on that. But my body at that point puts me to sleep, and I do fall asleep because I can feel it. I can feel it in my eyes. Now, I feel like maybe I'm going to bed expecting to fall asleep when I'm not ready to. When you're watching TV, you're sitting on the couch and you feel your eyes start to droop. Well, we certainly did when we smoked weed, that's for sure. But even when you're sober, it does happen, and it's because your body is telling you, it's almost time to go to bed. And I guess at that point, you go to bed and it's easier or more, it happens sooner, getting to sleep and staying asleep. But if I get into bed sort of wired still, it can take a while. So I'd say in the last couple of weeks, I've been getting up earlier. I feel like my body doesn't need or require as much sleep to function. But I wouldn't mind being able to turn over, wake up at like 5 in the morning, turn over and fall straight back asleep, and wake up at 7, turn back over, fall straight back asleep, and get up when and if I wanted to. And that's what weed allowed me to do. Now that could be a benefit to some, but I would say at the moment, the aspect of weed that I miss is the falling asleep. But most certainly the aspect that I don't miss is that grogginess in the morning. Doesn't matter how many hours you've slept. In fact, you've probably slept 2 or 3 more than you needed or than you wanted anyway. I mean, there were nights where I could sleep 10, 11, 12 hours, mate. 12 hours, depending on how much I smoked the night before. I didn't want to get up in the morning. I was groggy, I was lethargic, and it sucked. It really sucked. But I did fall asleep without any effort. So you take the good with the bad. You take the good with the bad. And look, I don't know that I have too much else to say. I will make a video when I reach 60 days, and I'll run through. I haven't really been thinking about it, to be honest. It's just been in the background. The thing that I've really had to focus on and make sure that I stick to is the alcohol, because that is just so much more destructive. Which is the lesser of the 2 evils? It's weed, obviously. That's, if you were to disagree with me on that, then I just simply couldn't agree with you. But they are both mood altering, and that is something I don't wish to have. I wish to be in complete control of my mood. Well, not mood, because sometimes I do go manic and sometimes I do have bouts of depression, but it's real and I can feel it and I can work through it. One thing I don't miss is the memory loss. One thing I don't miss is the lethargy when you wake up. It felt like I was on the fucking moon for about 3 or 4 hours in the morning, until my eyes finally started to wake up, until my brain finally started to turn on. And by that point, I was probably about 3 coffees deep, really strong ones, and they didn't do shit. They really didn't. So, to have a limit of maybe 2 coffees a day at the moment is nice. But look, I'm just here to commemorate and document 50 days off of weed because it's big for me. I've done it before, but I've never felt, I guess, as positive about the experience. And I've always sort of had that inkling in the back of my head, will I smoke? When will I smoke? Is it going to be worth it? But I always go back to a moment, an experience that I had when I went back to New Zealand on holiday. And this is after I'd had, I don't know, it was a few weeks. I'd had a few weeks off of weed. It might have not even been that long. Maybe it was a week, maybe it was a couple of weeks, because once you do rid it from your system, you do start to feel more energized. And like I said, it doesn't matter how much, how much or how little you sleep, you wake up with more energy. And whether it's energy or whether it's just this removal of that pressure of that fog in your brain. You wake up better. You wake up better off. You might not go to sleep as easy, which is what this video is all about, but you wake up better off in so many aspects. But I remember I must have had a week or two off, and I'd organised to get an ounce of weed as soon as I arrived in New Zealand. And I got to New Zealand and I hadn't had a smoke yet, and things were going well, and I was enjoying the way I was waking up, and I'd finally, I'd gotten through the detox process once again, which is shit, but it's worse for some than others. But I'd gotten through that, and I was like, I don't even want this, but it was thrown in front of me, and because I'm an addict, because that was my substance of choice, and because weed had been, my comfort zone, my best friend for so many years until it turned against me, and you can hear all that in the previous video. But I basically, to cut a long story short, I smoked, and I had this massive bag of weed, and but the one thing that I remember, and this fucking, I didn't even smoke a lot. I think I had one joint, right? I had one joint. I didn't really want to smoke it. I thought, fuck, am I going to do this again? But I did. I smoked it, and I thought, oh, well, I might get away with it with one joint. It's not as if I'm fucking smoking 10 bongs before I go to bed. Number one, I slept in way longer than I wanted to. And number two, I woke up, I went and sat outside, there was a bunch of family around, and I just felt completely and utterly just zonked out. It's almost as if instantly I went back to that complete and utter sense of brain fog. And I was sitting there thinking, you've just prepared yourself, you've gone through all of the withdrawals, you were finally starting to wake up with some energy. You were finally starting to get your personality back. You were finally starting to enjoy conversation again with people, because weed, it just dumbs you down. It really does. It slows you down. It it gives you dementia, to be quite fair. We've all had a smoke and then watched a movie, enjoyed it, so-called, and then tried to recall anything from it and simply fail. It's fucked. And to do that for 18 years straight, you can imagine what it's doing to your brain. Either way, I was sitting there outside, 9 in the morning. I wanted to get up at 7. I'd been getting up early. I'd been getting more and more energy by the day. My depression was lifting, but instantly I was back to that groggy feeling. Instantly. And I sat there and I thought, fuck, I hate this. I don't like this. This is not worth smoking, getting that high for however long it lasts, falling asleep easily, but really it's just knocking yourself out, and waking up with all of the after effects. It's just simply not worth it. But yet I had this ounce in front of me, and as an addict, as a long-term chronic smoker, there's no way I could ever give it away. There's no way I could ever throw it away. I had to get through it. And so that was the theme of my trip to New Zealand, was just smoking every day and waking up feeling more tired and more tired and more tired. It just wasn't worth it. So I always put myself back in that situation that morning, after having a couple of weeks off, feeling great, having one joint, and immediately feeling like shit the next day. It's the only way I can describe it. Feeling like pure and utter shit. Not physically, but mentally. And some people may not have that. I feel like possibly it's because I'd smoked for so many years. But that's just my experience, and that is something that I grasp onto. That is a memory that I have, a crystal clear memory at the moment. And so we move. Thank you for listening, guys. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully this video has helped someone out there, and I will be back in 10 days' time. Well, actually it's in 8 days' time. I think today's day Today's day 52. So I will be back, not this Monday, but next Monday, to discuss once again my journey, this time, and hopefully the last time, of quitting marijuana. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.